Hi guys, my name is Vivek, and in this video of Informatica Scenarios, we will convert rows into columns. In my previous video, we converted columns into rows using unpivot and normalizer transformation. In this video, we will use couple of operators to perform this particular task. From the learning of this video will be the pivot operator, the usage of expression transformation, and the usage of aggregated transformation. So before we go ahead, let's understand the scenario and the task that we need to accomplish. So here, this is our source table. If you see, the source table depicts the marks of 3 students, Vivek, Amit and Ankit, in 3 subjects: science, maths and English. Now we need to convert this table into a cross-tabular format where we will have a single row for all the 3 persons, Vivek, Amit and Ankit, and their marks will be depicted in front of them. So as I explained in my earlier videos, there can be multiple approaches to accomplish a task. In this video, we will be showing you a couple of approaches. The first approach is very effective in case if your source is a table. In that particular approach, we will try to complete the task in the source qualifier query itself. In the second approach, we will be dealing in case if your source is not a table but a flat file, then you cannot use SQL override. In that case, we will see how we can accomplish this task. So let's go ahead and complete this activity. So I've already created a table results and results target. Let's see. So results has the rows and results target has the desired rows. So let me quickly truncate this results target and see how we can accomplish the operation using pivot operator. So pivot uses an aggregate function. You can use sum, max, count, a lot of whatever aggregate options you can use here. So what we need to do is we are taking sum of score for subject and we are taking the values of the subject here. So please look at it very carefully. So if you see, we got the desired results. Let's understand what happened. Let's go back to our source. So here if you see, the value of subject is science, maths and English. Let's understand it for Vivek first. So what happened is we are taking the sum of score for subject in science, English and maths. You can use either sum or max because here we have a single value for Vivek. For everyone we have a single value for a subject. So even if you use max instead of sum, it will give you the same result set. Okay. So you can understand it this way, that for this particular value, for the ID and the name, we had a kind of group by, okay, and for the values of the subject, we got the sum or max of the score. In case if I remove max, then we'll see what happens. We will not get the score of that particular subject. Now we only have 2 rows. So whatever number of values we specify here, we will get that. Okay. So let me put this in my source qualifier query and connect it to the target, and we will see if it works. So I've entered my Informatica. Let me create a new mapping, m_demo_ flat file table pivot. Let's quickly drag our source and target. I've already imported my source and target. Now all I need to do is I need to override the SQL query. Okay. Now since if you see, I have changed the source qualifier query. That means I'll have to change here the ports also, and I have to make ports similar to this. So let me do one thing. Let me quickly change the ports. We don't have subject anymore, so I'll remove it. We have science. Let's keep it in caps. Science. Then we have English. And then we have maths. And everything should be double. Let's quickly connect it to the target. Now these two ports, English and maths, which I just generated because they were required as a source qualifier query, now we need to connect them from something from the source definition. So we can connect them with any random port from the source definition as long as the data type is compatible. If I try to connect using char, it will not allow me, but if I try to connect using number feed, it will be okay. So let me connect both the fields here, and let's validate the mapping. The mapping is valid. So the value of ID will not be propagated to English or maths. Okay, it's just a dummy connection. If you are writing some query in your source qualifier, it will always be overridden. Okay, so let's quickly generate the workflow and see if we'll get the desired output. When you are generating the workflow, just you have to specify the connection object, and by default you will have the workflow generated. Let me keep it this way. So the workflow name will be demo table pivot. The workflow has been generated. Let's open workflow designer and run it. Before that, let's make sure that we have the table truncated. So the table has been truncated. We have the workflow here. Let's run the workflow. The workflow is running. So post this, we should get the data that we see in our SQL and which was the required target. Let's see if everything went fine, and we'll get the correct result. In the second approach, the challenge is that the source is a flat file. So there we cannot override this source qualifier query. So we will think that how we can tackle that particular scenario. Meanwhile, the workflow has succeeded. Let's see if we got the desired result. So you see, we got the desired result set. We converted our columns into rows. So this particular operation has been completed. We have converted successfully the rows into columns. Now let's see the different approach where you don't have the liberty to override the source qualifier query, and you have to convert to expression and you have to use expression in aggregator transformation. At times what happens in the interviews, even if you use the first approach, the interviewer may ask that, okay, we don't want to do the operation in source qualifier itself, rather we want to use the Informatica thing. Then in that case you should use the second approach. I'll demonstrate how we can use it. So let's create a new mapping and let's say it demo flat file pivot. Let's drag our target and source. Now we will not make any change in the source qualifier considering that it's a flat file. We will use our expression and aggregated transformation. I'll explain how it will work. We'll create some new ports. We'll name it as science, English, and maths. These are output ports. So now let's understand it very carefully. So if subject is equals to science, then we will get the value score, else we will put it as null. Let's validate it. Now what we are doing is, let's go back and understand this. Now what we are doing is, when we will receive the first row, which will be 100, Vivek, science and score, the value of subject will be science, okay, and so this particular output port will be assigned 50 value. When we will receive the next value as maths, this particular port will be assigned value as null. I'll explain how this is relevant in our case. What I'll do is, maybe I'll run this mapping in debugger mode so that you guys have a better understanding of what we did. Okay. So I won't be taking my subject and score port now because I've already achieved that. Let me apply this. Okay. Now let me add the aggregator transformation. I'll add 3 ports here also, and I'll explain the entire thing in the debugger mode. So these are my output ports, and so they should be double because this will depict the score. Okay, and these are my, now these will be my input only port, and let me assign them value. So we will understand how this will work in the debugger mode. Let me just complete it quickly. So I have grouped by 2 columns, ID and name, in my aggregator, and I have made the new 3 ports that I have created in the aggregator as output ports. Let's put the values in the targets now. So our mapping is valid. Let's quickly generate the workflow. Now before we run the workflow, let's run the mapping in the debugger mode. We will use an existing session that we just created. We will receive a much better understanding now. That's what we did. So if you see, the very first thing that you received as a form of data as input, the value is 100, Vivek, science and 50 score. Okay, let's go ahead. So in your expression transformation, we created 3 output ports, right? So when the value of subject was science, the new output variable we created, science, was assigned 50. Since the value was not English or maths, we assigned null to these. Okay, let's go ahead. Now came maths. Okay, so for Vivek, the score in maths is 50. So the variable maths should be assigned 50 now. So you see, we got 50 in variables maths. Now for third value we have English. Now the variable English will be assigned 70. So if you see, we for one row, so we have 3 rows now for Vivek, and we have in one row we have the value for science, in one row we have the value for English, and in one row we have the value for maths. So when in aggregator transformation, we will group by ID and name, and we will take the max value of these science, English and maths. We will get the correct row. We'll see how it will work. So now similarly we will have for Amit and Ankit. Now in the aggregator you see 100 Vivek, and output of science, English and maths is 50, 70 and 50, which is the desired output. Okay, so we will get this particular row. Similarly for Amit also we will get the correct data, and for Ankit also we will get the correct data, and this will be inserted in our target. Let me close the debugger and let's start the workflow. So before that, let's truncate the table also once, because we had inserted the data using the last approach. So the workflow name is flat file pivot demo. Let's run it. This session is running. So the key takeaway from this video is that to accomplish a particular task, you can have various approaches. Okay, based on the best suitable approach, you can decide that whether you want to do it the entire thing in the source qualifier query, or you want to use this particular approach. Let's see if we got the correct data. So the data set is correct. So we have accomplished the task to convert columns into rows, or the cross tabular representation, using pivot and expression and aggregator transformation. There can be other methods also using which you can accomplish the same task, but these are fairly straightforward and they are good as far as performance is concerned. Thanks a lot guys for watching these videos. Please subscribe to my channel for more such videos, and in case if you have any scenarios in your mind which you want me to explain, please put it in the comment section and I'll make a video on that. Thanks a lot.